Hello everybody, and welcome to my Oshinoko chapter number 117 review. This chapter is titled Panda. Now, this was an Oshinoko chapter for sure, right? One that I'm sure a lot of fans are really going to enjoy, as it is a chapter solely based on Kana, basically. But at the same time, it is a chapter that I personally didn't really like, being that I'm not a massive fan of Kana, right? I mean, I'm obviously more of an Akane dude. I think Akane is literally the best character in this series by far. And also, I just never really liked Kana, so I guess that's sort of something there. But before we hop into this chapter with a very weird thing with a panda in it, right? We need to talk about what happened last time, which was the end of the interpersonal audition between Frill, Ruby, and Akane. They had done their thing, and pretty much Ruby won, and she's going to be playing the role of Ai Hoshino, most likely. I mean, that actually gets confirmed at the end of this chapter, so it's not really like a mystery or anything big like that, right? But we start off this chapter in a very interesting way, right? And it was with Twitter, as Kana posts her resignation letter from Biko Nahachi on Twitter, right? And I'll just read it off here real fast, right? Fun thing to note is that Kana is following 271 people and has 1.1k following her back, right? So she's got a decent following by far. And I even like that her name is Kana Armaria on the thing, and her ad is at Kana Biko Nahachi, right? And her announcement reads just, announcement, I apologize for the sudden announcement, but I am quitting Biko Nahachi. The 2 years I spent with Biko Nahachi were fresh and irreplaceable. Through my activities as an idol, I've seen many things I want to do and have time to reconsider my thoughts, dreams, and aspirations. And I want to be an actress. Doing this really realized that feeling for me, and this is what I want to do. Fun fact, I have not realized that this series has been going on for 2 years, sort of since whenever Aqua asked Kana to join, what's it called, the Biko Nahachi with Ruby and all that, right? And next we get a bunch of fans sort of like reading this, right? We see some girls like, oh my gosh, one who has nearly the exact same haircut as Kana. It's gotta be just like, oh, she's my idol, I'm gonna have the exact same haircut. We see some dude in his room who's just crying with posters of Kana in the back, right? And we also see like some girl is on her knees in front of a train station with her parents in front of her. And we also see the one sort of like chef Soba guy, if I'm not mistaken. He's in the first volume. He's one of those profiles, right? But he's sitting there and he's just like, oh, what's this? As he's working his job. And we see that he's got these fans that pretty much are like fans for Ruby, Kana, and Mimcho. As we see all three of these fans and the Soba sitting down here, and this dude just like, oh man, this is bad. And I want to imagine that we're now cutting to this dude's restaurant or whatever, where Kana and Aqua are sitting down eating. But of course I know it's not that. This is a place where Kana and Aqua have sat down before and ate, probably in like a private establishment. But Kana's like, oh, Akun. And she literally calls him Akun, which is really adorable, I have to admit. But just knowing what comes later, it's like, oh no, Kana, no. But Kana's like, Akun, tell me some She says Akun, right? Not Akun. I don't pronounce well, right? He's like, Akun, tell me some funny stories, right? And Akun's like, okay. He's like, you know about the one about Kana Amaria the panda? And she's just like, what's that? And Aqua starts to say a joke here, which, not really a joke, but a story, that I don't really just know if it doesn't translate well into English, but it's not really that good of a story, right? But just to pretty much sum it up, it's like, in 1825, there was a Westerner who saw a lesser panda for the first time in the Himalayas, right? He asked the local Nepalese people, what is that? And they're like, oh, it's a Nigatla ponia. And he's like, the ponia was mispronounced and became panda, meaning that the ponia is actually a bamboo eater, right? So the original translation was bamboo eater, but it got bastardized into panda, right? And he's just like, in other words, Kana Amaria, who's eating bamboo shoots right now, is a panda. And she's like, oh my gosh, what in the world? And he's like, I'll give you 84 points. And Aqua's like, I'm glad you like that story. So, I mean, I get the joke behind it here, right? And the whole thing of, you're eating bamboo shoots, so you're a panda because of a mistranslation. It just, yeah. It's just really weird. So, pretty much the art thing with like I'll give you 84 points. It's like, okay, that's another random ass thing that's just getting thrown in here. So, I mean, whatever. But Kana's like, you know a lot of stories, huh? You're like a walking encyclopedia. And Aku's like, you're exaggerating. And he's just like, by the way, the word panda was originally used to refer to lesser pandas, but yada yada yada. In 1969, black and white pandas become famous. So they're divided into lesser pandas and giant pandas. And these are the only two creatures called pandas, which means that lesser and inferior. So it's just another weird fact about pandas, right? And Khan's like, man, you really are a walking encyclopedia. And she's like, but it's kind of like the entertainment industry, huh? Those people who are popular, they all take everything and monopolize it for fame and propriety. In the meantime, if you're not popular, you'll be treated as a lesser. It's the fate of the performers who can't be crowd pullers. As Lux is like, maybe so. By the way, I saw your big tweet. And she's like, oh, yeah, I finally made that announcement, so there's no going back now. She thinks of her time and becoming hot. She's like, time sure flies, huh? It's already been 2 years since you asked me to become an idol. 2 entire years. And that's sort of what I was saying earlier, like, 2 years? That's how much time has passed? Because that's crazy just to me as a reader. And Aku's just like, right. And he's like, I'm sorry for forcing you into doing it. And she's just like, hey, don't be. Now that I've come this far into it, I am grateful. I mean, if you would have asked me back then, the Kana Amaria would have really been dead as a talent. And she's like, if it wasn't for becoming a Hachi, I would have studied hard about right now and done decent, getting to a good university, and I would probably had a decent breather. And Aku's been like, it would probably been a better and safer option though, right? And Kana's like, I don't know. In the first place, the entertainment industry is like a big gambling game played by kabuki players, where you throw 2 dice and bet which one is, what's the total, even or odd. And she's like, that's why I'm grateful. I've come to think that bet to be okay, and I want to bet on this path myself a little bit more. And she's just like, becoming a Hachi's activities were so much fun. As we sort of get an interesting panel of Kana here, she's just smiling. And another panel I want to mention is here back a minute ago, and it's like, if you hadn't asked me, then Kana Maria would have been dead as a talent. We just see her hat on the ground, and it's just a really shocking visual, as it's like, yeah, I mean, you can really see it. I mean, of course, like, I'm not a person who really knows actors and takes the time to figure out all that stuff, but just to show what these characters are going through is really powerful. I mean, it is, and knowing that, yeah, that can happen to a real performer really easily. Just, they're done, and they had their time. That's it. And seeing that Kana here is able to actually overcome that thanks to what Aqua has done for her, right? But we cut back to Kana, is just like, but they were so tiring at the same time, right? I mean, becoming a Hachi was fun, but it was bad. Which is like, previously, everything was just painful. So it was so much of a lifesaver to me, right? She's like, if I win this bet, I'll become a fine giant panda, and I won't let me call them lesser. And at this point, we sort of take the shift in the chapter, but another thing I want to mention here about this whole panda thing is going back to Aqua's knowledge, and it's a really weird thing in Oshinoko. I don't know if it's been fully explained. I mean, I've only read through Oshinoko once. I haven't read through it twice or anything. I've read certain parts of it twice, but I read it through Manga Plus, and they have the thing where you read it once, and you can't really go back and read it again. So I have definitely not gone back to read those chapters. And the whole thing about Goro and Aqua is a really weird thing, showing that Aqua definitely has Goro's knowledge, right? I mean, he definitely learned the story, and this probably wasn't something that he learned while being Aqua, right? So, just more of a weird thing about what's going on with him here. But pretty much to get to it, right? Kana's like, by the way, I got an offer for that movie from the director, of course. It's director Kaburagi, director Gotonda, and, of course, Aqua's movie, The 15-Year Lie. And Kana's like, I got a role in the movie, and it's as the old Become a Hachi member who really hates Ai so much. And she's just like, is it okay for me to do it? It's just acting, but I'm still going to say bad things about your own mother. Is that okay? As Aqua has this really goofy look on his face, And she's just like, if it's you, I don't mind. And she's like, if it's me, why? And Aqua's like, because you're special to me. As Kana's here, and she goes, huh? What? I don't understand. I'm not special at all. I really don't get it. Oh, geez, I'm gonna go buy something to drink. As she runs out and leaves, and we see her running down the stairs. She's like, geez, I'm trying to make this work as a friend, but why did he say something so suggestive? Is he an idiot or what? How insensitive. Does he actually like me? As Aqua's just sitting here at the booth, and we see his dark Sharingan, and he puts his hand over his face, and he starts to maniacally laugh. And he's just like, she got flustered just because I flattered her a little? Honestly, she is so easy to manipulate. You better learn to put more doubt in people, Kana and Maria. If you don't, they'll always exploit you. As that's the end of that scene, right? From now on, we get some stuff with the director, but really, that's a big thing for Aqua, because if we don't remember too long ago, Aqua had this moment with Kana right before or after the big reveal. I honestly forget which one it was, where Kana sort of friend-zoned him, right? And Aqua's like, I'm gonna protect you because you are important to me, because it's obvious that he likes Kana, right? But it's like this different personality now is so much different than that one that we saw before, and it's really just an interesting thing here. So is this really this version of Aqua? We'll be able to see the good Aqua later in the series? So it's really just a weird thing altogether. But going back to stuff with producer Kaburagi, he's standing here and he's just like over a whiteboard with all of the lines and arrows drawn on it and some piece of paper pinned up. And he's like, the main cast has been assigned one after another, all like that. At this rate, I may be able to make some plans up to start the filming of this. He's like, however, Ruby Hoshino is playing the lead role, As he actually said that out loud, he's thinking the rest of this, right? He's like, it was definitely painful not to be able to use Frill Shirani or Akane Kurokawa as the main character, but schedule-wise, you're okay with playing any other characters. Not in the literal sense. Actors often refuse to appear in sensitive works, but still, director Gontonda and Aqua Hoshino seem to have something on their minds. I think I can guess what to some extent. As we see the director Gontonda is here, and it's pretty much implied that he has guilt over Ai in a way, as he's like thinking like, is it guilt for him? And for Aqua, he's like, is it revenge? Showing that, yeah, everybody knows that Aqua's out here to go over and fuck over his dad. And it's like, or perhaps is it something more than that? As we get a real deep up on Aqua's eye, and yeah, the terrifyingness of it. And he's just like, and he actually starts saying more stuff about lines like, for now, we have to sell Ruby Hoshino, We've got to turn her into an excellent crowd puller. As, yeah, Ruby's standing there in the photo, and it's confirmed that Ruby will be playing Ai, unless she doesn't. And I'm guessing she will be, because that's all part of Aqua's big main plan. But, as we know last time, Akane's probably going to try to stop that. So, at this point, I thought we were going to have the confrontation between Akane and Aqua more from last chapter. But this chapter really subverted my expectations. And like I said, I thought it's an important chapter, but also, I couldn't care less about Kana. So, the whole stuff of Aqua just being a big asshole is another moment of, ha ha ha, she got so flustered just because I flattered her. Oh man, she's so easy to manipulate. It's really the same stuff that he was pulling with, Akane. So, I mean, I don't really have much more to say. I mean, this was a big chapter altogether. The whole panda thing is weird. And, yeah, Ruby will most likely be playing the role of Ai. And with that being said, I really don't have too much more to say. So, I'm not really going to say anything else. If you're liking the Oshi no Ko videos, I'm trying to get them out day of like normal. And, yeah, if you're liking all the videos, subscribe. If you want to like the video, please do. If you want to talk about it in the comments, well, go ahead. And with all of that out of the way, it's going to be Glow Plasma 231 out.